Steve Bergson was a familiar face in this church. You might remember him as an usher, or from games night, perhaps as a volunteer painter, or as a church trustee. He was also an administrator, a ball player, and a grandfather. Dawn Crabtree paid attention. I could never repeat a story from a previous sermon without her reminding me that she had heard that one before. A sometimes brusque exterior, Dawn had a compassionate heart and endured a great deal of loss with patience and strength. Jeannie Crandall lived to the age of 105. After spending much of her life in Saskatchewan, Jeannie and her husband Lorne moved to Portage in 1997, and as long as she was able, she attended church weekly, often wearing clothing she sewed herself. Linda Wright might be remembered first by Trinity folk as one of our drummers, or for her stylish eyeglasses. She loved reading and music and teaching, her family, and had a marvelous sense of humor. From a young age, Wayne MacDonald exhibited an interest in all things mechanical. But as much as he enjoyed machines, particularly cars, even more he collected people. He said that if there was something about his life that he was proud of, it was that people seemed to like spending time with him. Jean Harkness was another centenarian. She was a parent to 4 boys, a grandparent, and a great-grandparent. She taught people about working hard and building skills to look after yourself and others. She was involved in many areas of church life, including being part of the team who counted the offering after church every Sunday here for many years. Dodie Blight was a teacher, cribbage player, knitter, skier, golfer, and a farmer who made her home in Oakville until she and Dawn retired to Portage. She served as a school trustee and UCW member, and world traveler too. George Greenlay was a Sunday school teacher in his High Bluff days, but at Trinity he was more often an usher at the church entrance. He was humble and quiet, but liked to share his sense of humor. At family reunions, he could always be counted on to bring the ice cream. No matter her circumstance or whatever she was doing, Annette Lytle was always concerned about how others were affected or what others needed. She was conscious of other people's feelings. She liked growing flowers and golfing, camping, and cocktail hour. Roy Lyle was 103 when he died. He led a full life with a passion for Hereford cattle, family, community, and public service. His love of music and dancing was evident, and many of us will remember him with a fiddle in his hand. Ken Holland operated a plumbing and heating business as well as a city car wash. A father to daughters, Ken particularly enjoyed family celebrations. He enjoyed traveling around Manitoba or spending time out at Delta. A father, grandfather, uncle, teacher, and retired principal, Jim Perhura leaves behind an immeasurable impact on the lives of his family, students, co-workers, and friends. His faith and this church mattered to him. This annual remembrance was particularly meaningful to him. He taught by example, led with empathy, and loved deeply. Betty McFarlane was a nurse working on the surgical ward at Portage Hospital and then at the Portage Clinic. She loved gardening, knitting, Delta Beach, and especially walking along Crescent Lake with her little dog, and popping into the church with a check or some baking for a funeral. Ed Ross's career was with MTS, but he had lots of other hobbies like fishing and hunting and curling and ball and riding dirt bikes and camping. He carried a humble spirit and a quiet strength. When asked if you could live your life over again, Ed's answer was always simple: repeat. Karen Conrad had a strong work ethic and deep commitment to the well-being of her family. She lived by the 4-H pledge and carried a lifelong commitment to education. She grew flowers, baked cakes, and all kinds of other things, and watched the stars out at the family farm. Lynn Switzer was an educator and community builder. He was always involved in sports, slow pitch, golf, curling among them. Highlights included chairing the Manitoba and Canada Senior Games. He also enjoyed playing guitar and pitching in whenever something needed to be done. David McBurney had a curious mind, a mischievous spirit, and a love of learning. In this community, if you own property, David probably surveyed it. He had a passion for history and geography and current events, and was a walking vault of random facts. Barbara Bradley was probably our most faithful Zoom church attender, adopting the pandemic technology as a way to cross the geographical and physical barriers of communication. Barb was trained in lab and x-ray, but her most fulfilling employment was in home care. She also made the most delicious homemade buns. Winnie MacDonald was always dressed for the occasion. All was presentable. A quiet and humble woman, her eyes were expressive and spoke volumes. If you were speaking with her, you knew you had her full attention and care. She was an expert at offering support behind the scenes. If Barb Bradley was a faithful Zoom church attender, Eileen Moocher was a faithful in-person attender, here at Trinity until her health made that impossible. She showed her love for people by caring for them and was an excellent homemaker, gardening, sewing, cooking, and being there when needed. Marion Thompson will be remembered for her warmth, generosity, and gentle spirit. Immigrating from Scotland, Marion and Ted built a home at Thompson's Corner near High Bluff. She was active in church and community, particularly through the UCW and Rebecca Lodge. Live theater, card games, times by the water, friends and family were among her great joys. Candles have been lit for all of these people, but we light another candle for all the names not listed here, names of those known and loved, whose light still remains.